Have you ever wondered if the sexual advice you get from friends or movies actually works, or if it just leaves you more confused? The truth is, many people are silently suffering from the pain of being in the dark. When you're completely disconnected and can't sense what your partner really wants, we're haunted by unrealistic standards, suffering because we can't reach climax at the same time, or feeling insecure about our bodies when comparing ourselves to actors on screen. Sometimes sex becomes a heavy burden, lacking excitement, making you feel lonely right in your own bedroom, especially the fear of being forgotten and losing identity among older viewers. But everything can change starting today. You don't need to force yourself to last for hours meaninglessly or try crazy techniques that just exhaust you both. Instead of standing as a distant expert, I want to sit down with you here to unpack the truth behind that advice. Today, based on accurate scientific research and what I've gathered from nearly 20 years of real-world observation, we'll put everything on the scale. I'll help you rank them from S tier, the absolute best, down to F tier, thin HGs you should just forget. But what I'm most excited about is revealing a little-known key to you, the sexual flow state. You know what? The secret to achieving real excitement doesn't lie in grandiose things or advanced techniques. It comes from the 4% rule. Just a tiny change, only about 4%, in how you prepare the space or how you both begin. And you'll automatically find the perfect sweet spot for arousal. Everything will happen naturally and rhythmically without any force or pressure. Part 1. The Secret of Connection, S tier. Hello, everyone. I have an honest question for you. Have you ever lain next to someone you love in a familiar room, but felt like there's an invisible wall separating you two? Perhaps you're experiencing a silent pain that many people face, being in the dark about your partner's sensations. You love them, you want to make them happy, but deep down inside, you're completely clueless about how they're actually feeling physically at that moment. You fumble with techniques you learned somewhere, but always wonder, am I doing this right? Am I being a selfish lover? There's emotional connection, sure, but when it comes to physical intimacy, everything becomes vague. We often carry the misconception that everything should happen naturally, like in movies, but reality only brings silence and unanswered questions. If this continues, it leads to an obsession with being abnormal. You start comparing yourself to the far-fetched standards on screen, where everyone moans at the right time and reaches climax simultaneously. You feel guilty if you can't do that. You start feeling insecure about your body, your skills, even your size just because of some unfounded advice. And then sex goes from a fun activity to a heavy burden. You try to prolong it thinking the longer the better, but in return you only get exhaustion, soreness, and a completely broken emotional flow. The most painful part is for those in their twilight years when the body starts changing, the fear of being forgotten or losing function becomes more acute than ever. We're afraid we're too old to start over, too embarrassed to ask, and so we silently endure loneliness right in our own bedroom. But friends, it doesn't have to be this difficult. To thoroughly solve being in the dark and rediscover excitement, we need to return to the core values. In the ranking of science and clinical experience, this is S tier, the most important things you absolutely cannot overlook. 1.1. Talking about sex, the key to breaking the silence. Many people think that talking during lovemaking will kill the romance, but the truth is completely the opposite. This is the most important factor for you to truly understand what your partner wants and feels at each moment. Accept the awkwardness. You know what? No one is born knowing how to talk about sex fluently. It'll always be a bit awkward, a bit strange, but be brave enough to acknowledge that awkwardness with your partner. Being honest about what you like or don't like is the strongest bridge to eliminate being in the dark. Practical tip. Start with text. If speaking directly is too difficult, I have a little tip for you. Try starting through messages or a handwritten letter. Writing it out will help you be calmer, choose your words more carefully, and reduce the pressure of direct confrontation. Once you've opened up through messages, stepping into an actual conversation will become much easier. 1.2. Foreplay, not just a preliminary step. We need to completely change our thinking about foreplay. It's not a procedure to rush through before penetration. In reality, foreplay is an essential part of intimacy. Do you know why we're often out of sync? Research has proven women need an average of 12 to 14 minutes to reach climax, while men sometimes only need 5 to 6 minutes. Foreplay isn't just for fun, it's to balance this time gap, helping both of you find the same rhythm. Practical tip: start from morning. Don't wait until the lights are off to start foreplay. Begin with flirting, light touches, or a loving message right from the morning. When you create desire and anticipation throughout the day, arousal will gradually build up. By the time you're actually together, the connection will happen naturally and most intensely without any complex techniques needed. Sex, after all, is a game of consent and understanding. When you do S tier well, meaning you know how to communicate and invest in foreplay, you've already solved 80% of bedroom troubles. You'll no longer be a selfish lover or feel lonely because now you're truly a couple sharing the same heartbeat. Part 2. When technique meets emotion, A tier and B tier. After we've learned how to communicate and invest in foreplay at S tier, you might still feel something isn't quite smooth. Have you ever been in a state where your soul really wants to connect, but your body seems to have some physical misalignment? A very common pain that many men share with me is being in the dark about the partner's physical sensations. You understand them emotionally, but when it comes to penetration, you have no idea if she's actually comfortable or what state her size and physical reception is in. This lack of physical understanding sometimes makes lovemaking awkward, making you worry you're doing something wrong. Besides that, after being together for a long time, many couples start falling into a spiral of boredom. You feel like everything just repeats like an old movie you've watched too many times. You want change, want to create fire, but don't know where to start without causing awkwardness or discomfort. When this boredom persists, it leads you to a dangerous trap: trying too hard in the wrong way. Being too eager to freshen things up, many people hastily turn to extreme things they see in movies, like fancy props, chains, or whips, immediately. What's the result? Instead of arousal, both feel embarrassed, even scared, and the emotional flow is completely broken. Not to mention, if you try to force lovemaking into a marathon lasting hours because you think that's the peak, you'll soon realize it's a real nightmare. It doesn't just cause physical pain and injury, but also makes your partner feel exhausted and just want it to end quickly. This misguided effort doesn't bring pleasure, it only brings disappointment and a sense of failure right in your bedroom. You stand at a fork in the road: either continue the dullness until feelings cool down, or risk trying crazy things and get confusion in return. But trust me, there's a third path, gentler, more scientific, and extremely effective. To solve this physical misalignment and boredom, we'll need the silent helpers at A tier and breakthrough thinking at B tier. 2.1 A tier, lubricant, lube, oil for a perfect engine. Never view lubricant as a sign of deficiency or failure. In clinical practice, I rank lubricant at A tier because it's extremely effective, cheap, and can completely transform your experience. Eliminate soreness and anxiety. Lubricant helps all movements become smoother, enhances pleasure, and helps you eliminate worry about your partner being in pain or uncomfortable. Smart choices for each situation. Water-based, very common, easy to clean but dries quickly, may need reapplication. Silicone or oil-based, maintain smoothness much longer, but be careful as oil-based can damage condoms. Solution for understanding: when things are smoother physically, you'll more easily sense your partner's rhythm, thereby eliminating the long-standing darkness. 2.2 B tier, the secret of flow state and the 4% rule. This is the part I'm most passionate about, a breakthrough solution to solve boredom without causing pressure. To achieve excitement, you need to enter flow state, where time and space seem to disappear, leaving only pure connection. Why do big changes fail? If something is too easy, you'll be bored. If it's too hard or too strange, like using chains immediately, you'll feel anxious and scared. Both these states prevent you from reaching flow. The divine 4% rule: the key to keeping the fire is to make lovemaking about 4% harder or fresher than normal. No need to be crazy, you just need a little challenge for the brain to feel interested. Practical tips for freshness: change location. Instead of on the bed, try a different room, change the space, a bed sheet with different texture, or simply switch sides of the bed. Try new positions slowly. Don't choose overly complex positions. Start with small variations from familiar positions to maintain comfort. 2.3 B tier special preferences, kink, and support tools. If you're both ready, special preferences, kink, are a great way to increase arousal as long as it's based on consent and safety. Sex is play. View exploring new preferences as a fun journey together. Practical support tools. Many of you ask me about wedge pillows. The answer is they're great. They help easily change penetration angles, support your body to reduce fatigue, and create freshness exactly according to the 4% rule we just discussed. You see, for lovemaking to soar, sometimes we don't need to do anything too grandiose. Just a little help from lubricant to eliminate physical dryness, and some finesse in applying the 4% rule to maintain flow state, and you'll see everything become more vibrant than ever. When you keep things challenging enough but still safe enough, that's when you and your partner truly become one. Part 3. Dismantling invisible pressures. C, D, E, F tier. Have you ever finished making love and instead of feeling satisfied, you felt disappointed in yourself? You wonder why you can't last as long as this person, why you both can't finish at the same time like that person, or why your partner doesn't have the passionate reactions you see on screen. That's the pain of toxic comparison. We're living in an era where information about sex is everywhere, but most of it comes from unofficial sources. You look at fake S-tier standards and feel abnormal, even guilty. The fear of being inferior or outdated turns lovemaking, which should be enjoyable, into a pressure-filled test. Imagine trying to force yourself to have sex for hours because you believe that's masculine prowess. But what's the actual result? Physical pain, injury, a feeling of exhaustion and boredom from both sides when lovemaking never seems to end. That's not pleasure, that's physical torture. Or when you try to force yourself and your partner to reach climax simultaneously to prove harmony. This pressure inadvertently kills naturalness, making you unable to focus on current sensations, but just busy calculating time. And when you can't do it, the feeling of failure starts to invade, cracking confidence and connection between two people. Even abusing adult films as a textbook makes you have distorted views about anatomy and women's responses, leading to painful disappointment when reality doesn't match dreams. It's time we put everything back in its proper place. Let's lower these unrealistic expectations to lower tiers to free ourselves. 3.1 F tier. Using adult films for education, a harmful mistake. I rank using adult films as curriculum at F tier because it has absolutely no educational value. The fakeness of the industry. What you see is the result of professional actors, sometimes with the help of drugs or implanted devices to prolong time unreasonably. Anatomical misconceptions. They're chosen for special appearance, use lots of lubricant, and sometimes stage non-existent reactions. Realistic perspective. Adult films teach that women reach orgasm very quickly and loudly, but in reality, most need much longer and more delicate stimulation. Remember, using adult films to learn about love is like watching WWE to learn actual fighting. 3.2. E tier, sex lasting hours, a disguised nightmare. Don't let the time number fool you. I rank this at E tier. Physical consequences. Sex that's too long, especially continuous intercourse over 30 minutes, often leads to soreness, abrasions, and discomfort for both. Psychological pressure. For many people, not being able to finish early is frustration and exhaustion rather than enjoyment. The quality of lovemaking lies in connection and pleasure, not in a stopwatch. 3.3. D tier. Simultaneous orgasm. Unnecessary pressure. While it sounds romantic, in reality, this is D tier because of its impracticality. Biological misalignment. Science shows women need an average of 12-14 minutes, while men only need about 5 to 6 minutes to reach climax. Smart solution. Don't force simultaneity. Prioritize the female partner's pleasure first because they need more time. When pressure disappears, excitement will naturally come. 3.4 C tier, sexy lingerie and adult films for entertainment. These are supplementary elements depending on personal preference, so I rank them at C tier. Sexy lingerie can increase visual arousal for some people, but if it makes you feel insecure about your body or uncomfortable, it's not necessary. Confidence in your own skin is the sexiest thing. Adult films for entertainment. It can be a tool to explore preferences or increase arousal if both agree. However, be careful if this creates ethical conflicts or challenges your personal beliefs. The goal of lovemaking isn't to achieve records or perfect films. It's connection, understanding, and the joy of being together. When you bravely toss aside F tier or E tier standards, you'll find yourself freer to enjoy the real values of S tier we discussed at the beginning. Remember, you're completely normal and you deserve a happy sex life in your own way. Part 4. Understanding Silent Pains. Supplementary section. The truth is, most current sexual advice seems only for young people. But what about those who've reached 60, 70? A 68-year-old viewer shared his feelings that after 2 years of divorce and no physical contact, he feels like a 17-year-old having to relearn everything from scratch. You worry about the saying, use it or lose it, and feel confused about wanting to start again. Besides that, an extremely common pain for men is being in the dark about the partner's physical sensations. You can be very emotionally perceptive, very loving toward that person, but you have no idea how she actually feels physically during penetration regarding size or physical reception. And finally, questions about safety when experimenting with new things like anal sex or using supplements to improve performance. Imagine you're 60 or 70 years old, the desire for love still burns bright, but insecurity about age and fear of losing function makes you afraid to step forward. You feel pushed out of the flow of excitement just because of wrinkles or body changes. More painful is when you're beside someone you love, but feel like a stranger to her very body. You wonder if you're hurting her, if she's actually physically satisfied. This lack of understanding creates an invisible gap, making lovemaking lack confidence. And if you hastily experiment with new forms of intercourse without safety knowledge or believe in exaggerated supplement advertisements, you not only lose money, but can seriously harm your health. I'm here to tell you, every problem has a key, and you're not alone. 4.1 Twilight Years Sex, 60, 70 plus. Old ginger is spicier. Never believe that age is the end for excitement. Eliminate the fear of use it or lose it. It's true the body changes with age, health, and excess fat can affect performance, but desire and sexual ability still exist if you know how to care for them. Advice for those starting again. If you're 68 and starting over, view this as a new exploration journey. Don't pressure yourself to perform like in your youth. Use your maturity, composure, and S-tier communication skills to connect. Proper care. Regularly check your health and don't hesitate to discuss physiological issues with your doctor. Understanding your body in old age is the most powerful weapon for maintaining confidence. 4.2 Decoding partners' physical sensations. Breaking through the darkness. To men wondering about women's intercourse sensations. Reception is a process. Women's physical sensation during intercourse doesn't just depend on size, but on arousal level and foreplay preparation. When they're truly ready and reach high arousal, vaginal tissues will expand and secrete naturally, creating the gentlest welcome. Feedback is key. Instead of guessing, use S-tier communication. Ask questions like, how does this feel? Do you want me to slow down or go deeper? The interaction between emotion and actual feedback will help you sense the size of her welcome. 4.3 Safety and supplementary health. Smart for happiness. Anal sex. This is a topic viewers are very concerned about regarding safety. The most important solution is lubricant, A tier, and patience. Because this area doesn't self-lubricate and is very sensitive, using plenty of lube and going step by step slowly according to consent principles is mandatory to ensure safety. Supplements. There are many questions about which supplements actually work. My advice is be cautious. Most online advertisements lack scientific evidence. Before using any medication or supplement affecting the vascular and cardiovascular system, you must consult a specialist doctor to avoid unfortunate risks. No matter your age, no matter what specific questions you face, remember that sex always requires learning and mutual understanding. Don't let silent pains prevent you from enjoying your rightful happiness. I hope this in-depth Q&A section has helped you feel lighter and find your own direction. Keep sharing and asking questions because the journey to find excitement is a journey with no endpoint. Conclusion and call to action. We've gone through a long list of advice together, from truly valuable things to harmful misconceptions. But I know after turning off this video, the feeling of fumbling and insecurity may not disappear immediately. You might still feel confused about body changes with age, or still feel awkward about starting that intimate conversation with your life partner. Finding a fulfilling sex life in this world full of misinformation really isn't easy. If we continue to stay silent, continue to let pain points about darkness or performance pressure gnaw at our confidence, then the gap between you and your partner will gradually widen. Don't let sex become a nightmare or a heavy burden that exhausts you. You deserve deep connection and real moments of excitement, rather than just desperate efforts to chase unrealistic standards from movies. The real solution doesn't lie in grandiose techniques, but in the scientific understanding and sincere connection we've discussed. Start from S tier. Prioritize foreplay and honesty in communication. Apply technology correctly. If you need a personalized companion to improve your sex life or men's health, don't forget to try the Better Sex app I've shared. This is a tool trained to help you overcome psychological and physiological barriers in the most scientific way. Journey with the community. To no longer have to guess blindly among chaotic information, journey with me on this path. If you found these sharings truly helpful and they helped you resolve some of your silent questions, please hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications right now. This is how you won't miss videos decoding health and intimacy based on science instead of unreliable hearsay advice. Remember, you're more wonderful than you think, and you have complete power to build a fulfilling and happy, intimate life. Don't let anyone, including yourself, convince you otherwise. Goodbye for now, and see you in the next videos where we'll continue exploring health and happiness together.